All right, guys, we're just coming off the range today. We had a few people struggling, new shooters struggling with having both eyes open when they shoot. And when we look at this, I just want to break it down for you real quick. First off, I'm going to explain why we have difficulties with both eyes open when we shoot. But then I also want to talk about why it's important. The cat's coming into the video, right? Awesome. So why it's important for us to utilize both eyes open when we're shooting in a dynamic environment. So let's just talk about that first. First thing is, what's up, dude? You want to be in the video? Come here. All right, so first thing is dude, you're totally photobombing the video here. So with one eye closed, it's very difficult for me to keep good peripheral vision, right? So with one eye closed, I can see my hand right now. So everything from here out, I can no longer see with one eye closed. The other thing is when I close one eye, it's very awkward for me to have depth perception and for me to have good balance. So for us to be moving and shooting and working around barricades, obstacles, cutting corners, angles, anything like that, right? I need to have those both eyes open so that way I can keep that good balance, coordination, be able to move effectively. So the other part is when I have both eyes open, this also helps me see when I'm shooting around a piece of cover or an object, right? What happens is when we have one eye closed, our hands are blocking some of our peripheral vision down. We're looking at the back of the gun, so this is my right eye. So if I shut my left eye and all I have is my right eye and I'm right-handed, right? My hands are here, I'm looking at the back of the pistol or the rifle, I'm looking at the sights and it's right on top of the target. From this perspective, depending on my sight's height over the actual barrel, so my bullet path versus my line of sight, right? This is exaggerated when we're using a rifle and we have a red dot that's sitting 2.5 to 4 inches over top of the barrel. Sometimes when I'm right behind the pistol with one eye closed or the rifle, it's hard to see if my barrel is actually clearing whatever it is I'm shooting over or shooting around, if there's a little bit of cant, or if the object I'm shooting has an angle to it, like a slope. So with one eye closed, this makes it challenging for me to see where my barrel actually is in relation to my sights. Now, if I open up that left eye, as a righty, what my left eye would see would be this. So my right eye looking down the back of my pistol is going to be like this. Here's my right eye looking down the line over the sights to the target. So right now there's no one behind the camera. So my right eye is here and I'm looking down the sights. If I don't move the pistol and I shut my right eye and open my left eye, what my left eye is seeing now is on an angle. I can literally see down the side of the gun. I can see these ports, these cuts on the side of the slide, right? So again, I find those sights with my right eye, shut the right eye, open my left. I can see that. I can see the slide release. I can see the flashlight. I can see the nails on my finger, right? I'm looking in on an angle like this to the side of the gun because my eyes are obviously separated from each other, right? This angle coming in gives me a different perspective. That difference in perspective is what gives me that 3-dimension when I'm looking at an object. That's what gives me my depth perception, right? So what this allows me to do is to see down the side of the weapon and see if my bullet path is actually clear over an object. Also, it allows me to see what's happening maybe in the hands or in the chest area of whatever it is that I'm looking at, if I'm looking at a person. Where if I only have one eye closed, my weapon is now blocking my field of view down, and maybe I can't see all of that, where if I open my left eye, I gain all this additional information. I can't see everything, but I gain a lot more information by doing so. So these are some of the benefits of why we would want to shoot with both eyes open. But here's where it gets complicated for a lot of new shooters, is because they get confused on why they're seeing multiple sights, and it becomes tricky and challenging. So we have to understand this. when I have my two eyes and I'm focusing on one point, so I can only focus my eyes on one thing at a time, whether it's near or far. And if I take my finger and I focus on my finger and I get it really close and I'm cross-eyed, the reason I'm cross-eyed is because my eyes are turning in on an angle like this, right? And the object's so close to my face that my eyes actually come together and they look like they're cross-eyed. What they're actually doing is they're focusing on an object that becomes close like this, so the angle becomes super steep. But if I focus on the back of my gun, so like right now if I have the camera lens and I come here and I look at the sights on my gun, I'm going to do one eye, now I'm going to do both eyes. If I focus on my front sight post, I see two camera lenses. So when I look here at the sights, this eye burning through in the background, if I had a target, when I aim here, I'm going to have, in blurry, I'm going to have two blurry targets. Dude, we're filming a video here, buddy. Come on. If I focus on the target, then I'm going to have two blurry rear sight posts. I'm going to have the back plate of my pistol, right? I'm going to have two of them. Because the line of sight going and focusing on this, I'm going to have this coming down. I'm going to have this object, and my eyes get confused on which one is supposed to take control. So this is where we want to start doing prioritization of the positioning of our eye. Are we talking about their dominant eye? So if your right eye dominant, right, this right eye is a little bit stronger at picking up the sights, or if you're right-handed, then this is going to be the primary line. And this line is going to be coming in on the angle, right? And as we see this, what's going to happen is we're going to see a secondary target because this is making an X. So the secondary target that we're going to see is going to look kind of something like this because we're focused on the sights of the pistol. So we have a primary target. So in this case, what would happen is my eye shooting off the right eye, right? If this is my dominant eye right here, then this line would shift to the target like this. So I'm going to go here and let's just say that this is actually my target and I'm using the right eye. There's my primary. My left eye looking across the pistol is going to have a blurry target that's off to the right side. So if these are now my arms reaching out to the gun, and then here's my left hand, here's your right hand, and this is this arm coming out here, and here's your shoulders. I know this isn't to scale, but just bear with me, right? And that's your nose. I'm not going to draw that because it looks like, you know what. All right, so let me erase the nose. That's a bad nose. So if my arms are here, and I'm coming to a V to where the pistol's now in the center, this line to the pistol is going to go off, and it's not going to line up with the camera. This line is going to meet the pistol, and it's going to go off, and it's not going to line up with the camera. So I have to take the X and move the X. So one of these two lines is actually, I'm exaggerating it, but one of these two lines has to come in and line up down the sights to the target. So in this case, our right eye is going to come down, and the pistol would actually get kicked a little bit like this. So it's going to look like that. So my pistol slide is going to be here, front sight, rear sight. Here's the hands. This line comes through all the way down like that. So when I'm looking down the sights right here as a righty, and I bring this left hand in, and I open up, and I'm focused on that front sight post, I'm going to stick with the one that's on this line. So what's going to happen is if I'm right-handed, if I do get a double vision on the target, I'm going to ignore the target that sits on the outside of my shooting arm. Does that make sense? So this line is coming to the outside. So here's this line of my right arm. So there could be two targets. I'm always going to go to the inside. My no-shoot target, the one I'm going to ignore, is the one that's going to sit on the outside of my shooting hand. So that's going to be out here. So if I'm right-handed right? I'm going to exaggerate this again. My left eye is looking across, so the secondary target on the opposite side of the X is going to be outside my shooting hand. If I switch to my left, my right eye, when I open, it's looking at the right side of the gun, so the other target's going to be outside like this, so I'm going to ignore that outside. Does that make sense? So it's here or here. Does that make sense? So I'm going to come to the one that's on the inside. So the problem is, when I exaggerate this, it's pretty obvious because this angle becomes so hard, right? This angle coming in from the support eye is so hard that it's like, okay, well, that's obvious. When I take the pistol and I bring it to the middle, I'll do it right-handed again. When I bring it to the middle, now we have conflict because when the eyes come together, we don't know which one to choose. So again, we're going to use the one that is with the side of the shooting eye. So it's going to be to the inside though. So my right eye will be on the inside, and the one I'm going to ignore will be on the outside of my right hand. Does that make sense? So if I'm a lefty, if I have a V, to the inside of the V, so the one that would be here, the one I'm going to ignore is going to be this one as far as the sights go. So my left eye is here. I shut my right eye, I'm on sights. I switch hands, I come here, right? I'm on my right eye. See, I shut my left eye, I'm on. Come here, I'm on my left eye. Shut my right eye, I'm on. Come here, I'm on my right eye. Shut my left eye, and I'm on. So you can practice this a little bit just to start figuring that out. And remember what it looks like. So that way when you present out, you can figure out which one is the one between the two that is the one you're supposed to be using for your dominant eye. Hopefully, naturally your dominant eye will take over and it won't be that difficult. But if you're having challenges, you can shut the eye, let it open back up, and confirm the sights that you're on. Another thing that you can do is if you want to practice, right, your high ready, for example, and I can come here, I'm just going to do this lefty because I'm lefty. I take that sight post, I'm going to put it just off on angle, touching the bottom of the camera lens. So I'm going to touch it, if I'm looking at here, I'm going to touch it, if I had a circle, I'm going to touch the bottom corner like this of the circle, right there, with that front sight post, and I'm going to slide this in. And as I slide in, I find that sight, and then that comes in, so I'm tracking it all the way in. And now I train that sight to slide into position, and now I ignore the one that's sitting on the outside. Same thing I can do here with my right. I can touch this right to the outside, and now when I track in, that sight post drops right in. I'm ignoring the sights that are sitting out here, right? I'm using the inside of the V as my target sights, and then I come back. Slide in, come back. And this way I can start training my eye again to pick up, so that way I can keep both eyes open, still get consistent shots, good sight picture, have that peripheral vision, have that good depth perception, right? And get fast shots on target with a bigger field of view without getting confused on that weird sight picture or that weird target that I'm getting by having the both eyes open. So hopefully that helps kind of break that down a little bit for you, so it starts to make a little bit more sense, and you can visualize now why you're getting confused or why that's so difficult, what's actually happening that's making your vision look all screwy, right? Hopefully this helps just kind of break it down for you a little bit so you can start to visualize what's happening, so that way you can make the appropriate corrections or modifications, so that way you can have this start to work in your favor. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, all right.